in the box! Talking shop with the boss in the box! You know, it wouldn't
what
be...
What the fuck are you laughing about, Brandon?
It wouldn't be Monday without technical difficulties, ladies and gentlemen. But we got it handled. We are here. It is... wait. Yeah, okay, it's Monday. Hello, everybody.
It is Monday.
Hello, our esteemed friends in the chat. Hello, Amanda, Jordan, Spike, Mike, Scotty, and everybody else. Thank you for tuning in to Talking Shop with the Boss in the Box for episode 107. How you doing today, Boss?
I thought it's 106. I thought this was 106.
Nope, we're at 107, man.
Are you sure you were ahead 1 week? I was behind 1 week. Whatever. What the fuck? Whoa, shit. I thought we were episode 106 today.
Hey, daylight savings time is fake.
And so are squirrels and birds.
Yeah.
Good evening, everybody. Like Brandon Dunn mentioned, this is episode, I guess, 107 of Talking Shop with the Boss in the Box. And I happen to be one half of your humble, heavyweight, handsome co-host duo, The Lunchbox. That is one word, people. Capital L, capital B. Thank you very much. And y'all may have noticed a new advertisement in the introduction. That is our big news for the week. Brandon, tell them what you done did, boy.
Ladies and gentlemen, basically we are an official promotional sponsor for the Aftershock Festival. Yes, you know this festival. It is thrown in Sacramento every single year. And you know what? It's probably got its biggest year yet this year. So let me find that. Do I have the flyer? I should have the flyer. I don't have the flyer, but we don't need the flyer. Because what we have is we just played an awesome video before our intro. Metallica is headlining 2 nights. You know, we have My Chemical Romance, Limp Bizkit, and all those awesome bands playing the Aftershock Festival. But none of those bands are as heavy as our guest today.
Well, I mean, maybe musically not, but I'm sure there are fatter people on the roster. But we'll get to that. We're still bantering here for a second. Like, the green room is stocked with coffee, hot wings, and beer. He'll be all right.
Okay.
So that's right. Brandon got us sponsorship for Aftershock. So you will get to see our 2 fat and ugly mugs rolling around there for 3 out of the 4 days. That's right. We will be cruising around, interviewing people, taking pictures, hopefully not getting thrown out of nowhere. But hey, some things just happen, and that might be one of my goals.
Yeah, so make sure you buy tickets and attend the Aftershock Festival. That is October 7th through 10th, headlined by Metallica and My Chemical Romance, with The Offspring, Machine Gun Kelly, Gojira, Social Distortion, Rise Against, Mastodon, Rancid, Volbeat, Seether, Live, and so many more. So make sure you go to the Aftershock Festival. Now, by the way, do they really need to know who we are?
Who we are?
I mean,
like, does who need to know who we are?
Who?
Who?
No, like, okay. I'm the boss, you're the box. Usually you have some amazing intro, and I feel like we just completely bypassed that.
Well, no, I'm a little tired. I figured let's make sure we don't forget first our new sponsor, and then, of course, you know, we got bills to pay and all that shit, and then we get the guests, because I'm tired of us being too drunk or tired and being like, the bills. We got to pay the bills. So I figured let's get a pair of sponsors out the way, and then we'll go ahead and bring on the man of the hour.
All right. So the first one I'm going to bring up. So we did the Aftershock Festival. Another music-related sponsor is our very own Mike Vanek Sucks. He has a music blog that he features artists. He does booking. He does makes a t-shirt out of every single picture he finds. So if you want a spot on his blog, you want to be featured, you want album reviews, you name it, go check out Mike Vanek Sucks, artist promotion, etc., etc., etc. Facebook.com/Mike Vanek Sucks, SUX. And, if you want to be featured, hit him up, Mike Vanek Sucks, at yahoo.com, or text metal to 865-824-6427. And who's our next sponsor, sir?
Well, we got to talk about money because we ain't got none, and hopefully we can get some.
All right. So here you go.
Ladies and gentlemen, do you need an education in financial professionalism? Don't worry about that. We got you covered. Contact our sponsor, official financial professional, Leilani Mosinske. That is Leiloni Mosinske. Leilani Mosinske, financial professional. You can give her a call at 510-571-7215, or you can email her. That is Leilani, Leiloni.wfg@gmail.com. License number 0M14654. You can also check out her website, www.wfgconnects.com/LeilaniM. She will teach you the rules of money, tax-free retirement, asset protection, college planning, principal protection, legacy planning, recession-proof industry, home-based income, small business exit strategy, increase your cash flow, and teach you the fine art of estate preservation. She offers free financial class education and statement breakdowns. And for a limited time, she will offer a free financial consultation and plan. So for all of your financial needs, please contact Leilani Mosinske, first official sponsor of Talking Shop with the Boss and the Box.
Woo! All right, so ladies and gentlemen, if Lunchbox ever needs a new shtick in life, he can be an auctioneer for your auction. So hit up Lunchbox. He will and sold to the next person. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen,
I think it's funny that our boy Chris Pagano in the chat is saying you sound like a salesman. Motherfucker, where have you been? I am not a salesman. I am the salesman. I will sell you your own fucking shoes at an increased price. Because I love it.
And by the way, this Wednesday I will be on Mr. Chris Pagano's podcast. So I don't know if he's live. We will see. But check it out when it is available. All right. With that being said, as I said earlier, we're talking about the Aftershock Festival. Our next guest, he is a man of heavy sorts. He is a man of class. Okay, or maybe just sheer brutality. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the owner of Arachnid Cabinets. He is the shred master himself of Worm Flesh, Sacramento-based tech death. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Robert Calhoun!
Hey there, sweet dang.
What's up, my man?
Man, dude, what's up? Dude, Lunchbox, man. You can fucking sell shoes to a snake, dude.
Well, hey, snakes might need shoes. They still do have a soft underbelly.
Yeah, man. You sell shake to a quake. By the way, guys, cheers. Thanks for having me on. Really appreciate the opportunity.
Well, let's start out with what we normally do. What is everybody drinking tonight? Everybody in the chat, Mr. Robert, Mr. Box, what do you guys got tonight?
Rob, go first.
Oh, man. I had Jameson picklebacks tonight.
And for the non-drinking crowd, can you explain what a Jameson and pickleback is?
So, Jameson, shot of JMO, with some pickle juice to wash it down. Clausen.
I was gonna make sure you plugged Clausen specifically, because I too am a fan of Clausen thin slice.
Clausen, hook it up. I'll put a banner in my shop. Endorse me. Send some money my way. Make this, operation funded.
You are some nasty motherfuckers. You know that?
Oh, pickles are the shit, dude. Don't blame us because you've got a fucking 5-year-old's palate. Go eat your chicken nuggies and shut the fuck up.
Oh, man. Great.
Oh, man. Yeah, no, I can never get behind pickles, man. Like, ever since I tasted one as a baby, I just couldn't get around it. I still can't get around it. They ruined hamburgers. No pickles.
I'm a End date. All right, guys. Interview over. I'm out.
No. Stick around. I'll see if I can't mute Brandon's mic. I'm a pickle lover too. By the way, Spike Vanek's got a Moscow Mule. And Scotty McRib is going back to the old days and drinking that cheap Evan Williams whiskey.
I am actually drinking a brand new beer that I found today. It is a Young's double chocolate stout. London will always be Young's. So stout brewed with real chocolate and natural chocolate flavors, deliciously rich. And it's an alcohol.
Those are really good.
They are. It is really good, and it's an alcohol 5.2. So it's kind of weak, but it's pretty delicious.
Holy shit, Brandon! Shut the fuck up for a second. Sir Wright, what the fuck is up, brother man?
Sir Eric.
Sir Eric Wright, Sacramento's own fucking show attending promotional machine. Thank you for gracing us with your presence tonight, sir. Fucking A.
Good to see you, Mr. Sir Eric.
Right. I joke, if there's not a photo of Sir Eric at your show, you ain't a real band.
Right?
Sir Eric is probably one of the most sweetest dudes you could ever know. He's down to support the scene, the music. I think he owns every single piece of merch we probably ever produced, and he would do the same for anybody's band.
Absolutely.
Same with ours. Same with ours.
Yeah, he's just the one that, like I said, his signature move is kind of that rock back and forth with his phone because he's always capturing everything, which is really dope. Not many people have that kind of motivation, but he is just there, grooving, fucking always capturing video of everyone and always coming in for the selfie afterwards to promote.
Oh, yeah.
Always, man. He makes you feel like a fucking star. Another really cool thing. For those of you people who have me on Facebook, my phone number is public accidentally. And the day my son was born, I got a text from Sir Eric just to tell me, congratulations on the birth of your son, man. I'm sorry I snatched your number off Facebook. I hope it's cool. I wanted to be private about it because I didn't know if you were telling everybody yet, if you wanted to entertain Facebook messages or whatnot, but I wanted to reach out. And so, I've only had the pleasure of talking to the guy a few times just because we don't play enough Sacramento shows. But like I said, just for him to pop in and do that just shows the character of the guy he is, and even when we went through on tour, he asked about my kid, just a class act, man. Class act.
I've gotten random text messages from Sir Eric himself, and it's always a pleasure to get them. So,
yeah, he always wants to know how you're doing. He'll just pop his, I've been thinking about you, just he's obviously brain in the scene and on everyone he supports, and like I said, that's a genuine I can't even say it. I can't even say the word, guys. One shot took away my ability to speak.
Like I said, just all class, man, and like you were saying, he doesn't just care about you musically, he cares about the humans behind it, and that's man. I raise my drink and take another one. By the way, Blaker Brewing, Siege of the Pineapple.
You're welcome.
So,
you're welcome. So, as we have some people in the chat, can we get to some questions, or can we start with some questions? Okay, well, we're here. We got Robert Calhoun. We're going to start asking some questions. So what we do with every single guest we ever have is we like to take it all the way back to the beginning. So, man, when did you start your musical journey? Tell us some of the bands you were in before Wormflesh and what influenced you to get there.
Oh, okay. Wow. So that's a long journey.
Do your best.
Just like any California kid, I was always into punk music, especially skateboarding. Yeah. It's kind of hard not to be into punk and hardcore and a little bit of thrash, but when you're not heavily involved in music, you're not really paying attention to the bands so much as of yet. I grew up on military installations, so it's not like you had a huge underground, music population. It's everyone kind of listens to what's on the radio. So I started off with listening to White Zombie, Green Day, Mighty Mighty Bosstones. My dad was a big kind of 90s punk, 80s metal guy. And I think what influenced me to pick up the guitar, I might get a couple might get a couple demerits on my metal badge, but in 8th grade, man, Slipknot was kind of one of the heaviest bands you could discover.
For sure.
In general. So it's like Iowa came out, and on the bus, a friend that I skated with said we should start a band. I was like, really? He's like, yeah. What would I play? He said, I have a bass, you grab a guitar. So I asked for a guitar for Christmas, and this was like 8th grade, and I got an acoustic guitar, and I kind of wish it was an electric, but I'm kind of happy that I start off with acoustic, and here I am through 8th grade, got an acoustic guitar, learned A Horse with No Name by America, then broke a string on it and hid it away because I thought I'd just done the most absolute horrendous thing you could do. Broke my guitar. I didn't want to tell my dad that. Like, I broke my guitar. So I like put it in the bag and I never brought it out for like a year. I was ashamed to tell my dad that I broke a string. I didn't know how cheap they were or how replaceable they were. And he just one day, kind of closing in near the end of the year, he was like, where's your guitar? Why didn't you play? I was like, oh, I broke a string. Like, oh, why didn't you tell me that? When did you do that? I was like, I don't know, months ago. And that's me being in 8th grade, what, like 12-ish?
Didn't want to disappoint your folks, man. Your dad bought you something nice, and you're just like, oh, I broke it.
Exactly, right? Kurt, by the way, in the chat is one of my endorsed artists. So, yeah, he's like I said, one drink in and I'm already hammered. I don't drink a lot because of kids, but I digress. So I wanted an electric guitar after so long. Probably about 9th grade, I was like, I really want an electric guitar. I learned some Slayer on acoustic. I learned some Metallica on acoustic. Then what I wanted, I knew my parents wouldn't buy for me. So I started a lawnmowing business and pushed a lawnmower around our base. And lo and behold, mid-9th grade year, I bought my first electric guitar, which was an Epiphone Les Paul Custom.
Nice.
I bought a Ibanez Smashbox, like SM7 distortion pedal. Someone owed me some money, and they gave me a little practice amp for the money they owed me instead. And that's where the journey really started. About the time I got my electric guitar, a friend introduced me to Deicide, Scars of the Crucifix. That just changed my world musically. I didn't even know how to aspire to play music like that, but all I knew is I wanted to play music like that. After going through your Radio Rocks, your Metallicas, Slipknots, to finding Deicide, and then the rabbit hole just went down from there. So, but Slayer is probably one of my biggest influences. I know Kerry King isn't the most virtuosic guy. I know he's not the most theory-laden person, and I know Slayer as a whole, a lot of people love the clown on Slayer. It's it's the popular thing to hate on them, but they were a huge influence of mine.
Whoa! Like I hate on Slayer all the time. Don't get me wrong, but in the circles I run in, it's the opposite, man. I get death threats for that shit. Like, I tell people I don't like Slayer, and next thing you know, everybody comes out with pitchforks and torches on me and shit. Like, I'm Frankenstein.
Well, you also have to admit, those people who actually chastise you for not liking Slayer are also the people who haven't peaked over Slayer.
Yeah, I'd agree 100% on that.
So
it's for those I think who hate on Slayer, though, I think you have to put it into perspective. 1986. What do you think is the heaviest thing out there? I think Madonna and Michael Jackson are top of the pop charts. And then
Motley Crue was the scary thing that was most known.
Exactly. And then here comes Slayer's Rain and Blood, 1986. I mean, Angel of Death. Just that intro riff. I mean, I get it. By today's standards, even by my standards and what I think is more technically proficient, yeah, sure. Slayer's kind of low on that list of where I'm at now in terms of being what's really inspiring me. But for someone just learning the guitar, needing to play faster, really develop that picking hand, and even a little bit of that fretting hand, Slayer's not a bad place to start.
No doubt, no doubt. My beef is actually all with Tom Araya.
Really? Because of his Instagram posts or something like that?
No, because he has one vocal pattern and it all sounds the same, and in my opinion, it all sounds like shit. Like
thrash metal, though, man. I mean, look at any thrash. Other than Chuck Billy, I think Chuck Billy is probably one of the most dynamic thrash metal vocalists out there. That dude does kind of your quintessential 80s thrash scream, and then he can do death metal gutturals. So you gotta give it up to Chuck Billy for having such a crazy range.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Part of it is it also pisses off Mike Vanek. Like, I can see him over there in his basement in Bristol, Virginia, stomping around mad as fuck right now. He's going to text me any second and tell me what a little bitch I am because I don't like Slayer. Like,
it's funny. So Mitch doesn't really like Slayer either. Mitch is more of a Pantera guy. And Mitch respects Slayer, but he says when it comes to songwriting, ironically, he thinks Pantera's better. I'm like, I kind of sort of get that, but I always joke to him, I was like, you know what you're playing is more Slayer influence, right? Me being the only guitarist and the music I write has a large foundation from what Slayer started. He's playing music that's more Slayer oriented than it is Pantera oriented, but he loves fucking poking that I wrote a Pantera riff. Like in our newest song, Defenestration, or one of our newest songs, I have this really fast, crazy alternating. He's like, that sounds Pantera-ish. So Cowboys from Hell. I'm like, motherfucker. He'll take any moment to jab at me that I wrote like a Pantera-esque riff if he can point it out.
That's you guys' gamesmanship. You're playing Slayer. You're playing Pantera. Like, yeah. Okay, I'm with it. Band's got to have that shit. Real quick, we do have some chat questions I want to drudge up real quick. Jordan, I'm only going to go with half your question real quick, just because we have that on our list. One of our traditions here we do is our number one fan and mascot, Jordan Marin Harrison, always asks for a shout out from our guests. So, Rob, if you would, please.
Fuck yeah, man. Oh, I see him right there. What's up, Jordan? This is Rob, man, from Arachnid Cabinets and Worm Flesh. Thanks for joining us, dude. Really appreciate you taking some time out to listen to what my dumbass has to say.
Oh, that was the best version of it we've had outside of Papa Wesco.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And another fan question comes from Nate Firth.
Little Bear?
Yeah, Little Bear. What's your nickname that you can't shake or that just happened to stick?
For me?
Yeah.
Bobby. Family calls me Bobby. And it's not something I feel like I can't shake. It's just... depending where you've met me in my life, you've learned you get different variations of my name. Close friends and family call me Bobby. People who've met my mom who's passed and know my brother, heard them call me Bobby. I go by Robert in the workplace or at school. I'm not in school anymore. And then most people get Rob, but Bobby, that's the nickname I can't shake from family, but it's not a big deal.
Baby Davy at 37.
I'm usually asshole or dick. It happens.
Oh, Jordan's a chick. I can't see pictures. I'm sorry, Jordan. I know Jordan's a unisex name, so.
Yeah, I did it the first time she popped up too.
Yeah, the screen's only so big, and even though I can actually clearly read everybody's lettering, I can't see profile pictures.
So nowadays, I mean, we kind of went through the journey of how you became the awesome Shredmaster that you are right now. What is constantly playing on your Spotify or Apple Music or however you roll? What is something in constant rotation?
Dying Fetus. Everything Dying Fetus.
Man, he was serious as fuck about it too.
I am so not surprised, but that's a great thing. Dude, one of my favorite live show memories was actually going to what was that thing called? The Death Fest out here Bay
Area Death Fest?
Yeah, Bay Area Death. I'm sorry, thank you. Brain fart. One of my favorite memories is actually sitting up on the stairs of the DNA lounge and just seeing Dying Fetus do their thing and watching the drummer. Like, I don't get turned on by things that aren't pornographic, but like watching the drummer work, I'm just, wow. I was getting a hard on right there, man. Cause that's, whew, it was a pure joy to see them do their thing.
Trey's a machine, dude. And what I like about it is Trey knows when to go fast and be technical. And he knows when to be in the pocket and be groovy. And that's an aspect of our music that you've all seen, where we're not just shredding nonstop a million miles per hour. We break up the tempos. There's groove. There's driving rhythms. And that's really important to me as well. Catchy is one of those words that I feel like people are afraid to utilize in brutal death metal. Not so much anymore, but it's like, Korn. Like, for some reason, Korn put a bad taste in people's mouth when you use the word groove to describe extreme metal. And I don't know why that is. Maybe that's just the elitist in people, but there's nothing wrong with having that driving groove, that thing that connects the audience to be in unison in one way or another,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's something that people just forget about. When you do brutal death metal, so many people are just focused on the speed or the heaviness or the brutality of it. And that's something that sets Wormflesh apart. That's always drawn my ear. I mean, you guys got automatic heavy attention because I've been a big fan of Mitchell since he was fucking 15 years old. But just that ability to change it up from that full speed, just hellstorm into something I can just nod my head to for a few minutes before going back or even taking a different direction. It sets you apart. There death metal shows, and I'm sure you can get on board with this, and it happens with every genre. You go to that show and you get 5 bands that sound the same.
Yeah.
Except if you're fortunate, there's that one in the middle, that one band that does something just a touch different or adds just another layer that the others don't have. And guess who you hit the merch booth for? Guess who, when you go home that night, is the band that you go, hey, those guys were something special.
Exactly.
And that's something you guys have cornered rather well. I've seen you guys on those kinds of bills where it's just like another fucking grindcore band, and don't get me wrong, I'm a fan of grindcore in general, but once again, you get those moments where it's like, okay, this band sounds like that band, and I feel like this band's been playing the same song for 15 fucking minutes.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah, exactly. It's there's no excuse with how much music there is out there today to be stale. It's one of those things when you want to start doing it more professionally, you can't be stale. And luckily with Wormflesh, there's a lot of different influences where me and Mitch, luckily, at the core of what makes the band sound, we're on the same page with a lot of bands, and we're on the same page with what we want to do. But you bring Curtis in, our bassist, and he's a prog boy. And he likes some stuff that's a little bit more out left field than maybe what I would constantly listen to in my rotation. Like, I wouldn't change it if we were driving to a show, a fest, or NAMM, but it's not what I would technically, it wouldn't be my first Spotify or YouTube search, if that makes sense.
Right, you're not hunting it down.
Yeah, I'm not going to hunt it down, but I'm not going to turn it off either. And just to go back to my earlier days, I still have a soft spot for a lot of radio bands that kind of, I have to admit, helped me transition to getting heavier and heavier music. I'm going to say it loud and clear. If Godsmack came on my radio, if I'm listening to the radio, Godsmack came on, I'm not going to change the station. I'll listen to whatever Godsmack song is on the radio. Disturbed was one of those bands that was a weird transition band. If they have a song that comes on, I'll probably listen to it, because usually they play a lot of their classic shit anyways. So, not ashamed to say that those bands helped my transition, one rung at a time up the extreme and brutality ladder of where I am today.
Now, you mentioned, I've always wanted to ask somebody who's very proficient in like just heavy music. You mentioned Slipknot earlier.
Yeah.
So Iowa, in my opinion, is one of the heaviest mainstream metal albums ever to be released. Now,
I agree.
My question to you is, do you loop Slipknot in the new metal genre, or do they belong in heavy metal?
They belong in heavy metal. Slipknot, the reason I think they belong in heavy metal is if you listen to some of their earlier stuff, even with Joey Jordison, Iowa, Joey blast beats in multiple levels. I've never heard a new metal band blast beat. I've never heard a new metal band with a drummer achieve the speeds they did, and they were a lot more pissed off, in my opinion. And I think that's what makes Iowa great, is they all came from a young, pissed off, frame of mind. And I've always thought they deserved a little better recognition than just being new metal. To me, when I think of new metal, I think of the super down-tuned 7-strings of like Korn, Follow the Leader type things. I think of Limp Bizkit, where there's so much space you could almost have a hip-hop element in what you're doing to be new metal. And I've never thought Slipknot kind of fit that framework.
Yeah, that always bothered me.
They had moments.
Yeah, they've had moments. I mean, you got to think they had a turntable in there. Some of Corey Taylor's moments, where he's more speaking than screaming. You could put a hip hop, but listen to Dying Fetus, man. Take out the drums, like halftime those drums, the way they groove, it could be hip hop leading, the way it makes you bob your head. As fast as it's going, the way the cadence of the songs they write goes, you could technically rap over that instead of doing, guttural death metal lyrics.
By the way, just to cut off a problem in the chat there, Scotty, ain't nothing wrong with being new metal. I think that when the metal elitists come out and they don't give Slipknot that respect for being the heavy band that they really are, is where I think he's saying that they deserve better than that. They deserve the respect from the heavy metal community, from the death metal community even, just because they didn't sound like your typical 4 to 5 piece death metal band didn't mean they couldn't still fall in that category, because like you said, Joey's blast beats, the anger, the darkness of it, it all leads into that death metal side of things, and to call them a new metal band, they're not crying about their moms, they're not bitching about their girlfriends, just saying.
Yeah, so
it was super. They were still brutal. They were brutal in their own element, even if they didn't reach death metal top tier, they were like still only a tier or two below that. They still deserve the same respect from the thrash and death metal community for their earlier albums. I kind of feel like they pulled a Metallica, and I get it. They got money. They went a certain way. They probably did it because of management. But there were some album moves, as we all know, that kind of isolate the main fan base,
Mm-hmm.
The way I always look at it, man, everybody evolves, everybody changes, and to get mad, you can not like it, but to get mad at an artist for taking a step in a different direction, like you said, if it's management driven, well, that's compromising your ideals. But if they just said, hey man, we're going to write how we feel, and this is how we feel now, well, fuck, you can not like it, but how can you disrespect it?
You can't. They're doing what makes them feel right. Even though some interviews, I feel like with Corey Taylor, when you watch him, he talks about Slipknot's progression through their albums. He does mention that they kind of all weren't somewhat on the same page for a couple of those albums. Like, he was very not present during like the third album or the fourth album, because he was, I forgot if he mentioned he was rehabbing or recovering, etc. But back to the root of the question, yes, I honestly believe Slipknot deserves to have a little bit more respect from the extreme metal community than just being viewed as a new metal band.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. And Chris Pagano, he also mentioned, like, you better say Linkin Park. It's like I can't really compare Linkin Park and Slipknot.
No, he was talking about new metal though. Is that what you meant by that?
Metal.
Yeah.
Okay, my bad.
To me, I don't even think Linkin Park's new metal. I think they're just their own thing. They're like not even. They have so many elements, and yeah, you have distorted guitars, you have some crunchy riffs, but I don't think Linkin Park even falls under the umbrella of nu metal. Maybe dip their toes in the water, but I wouldn't even call them nu metal. They were just like this hard rock band with all these elements to them. You know, a little bit of hip hop, a little bit of metal. But yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't even know what to call Linkin Park. You call them nu metal. Hey, here's what I've always said. As a musician playing death metal and what we do, the labels all for the fans. It's what helps your mental sensitivity file a band under. So when you want to pull up that catalog of music you're trying to listen to, like it's your nu metal day, you have those bands you filed under that category. When it's your death metal day and you're pissed off, you have that catalog of bands you filed under that label. So labels, feel free to call them nu metal, man. You can. I mean, like Brandon called this technical death metal. Sometimes me and Mitch talk about that. We don't even consider ourselves tech death. It's, you know, even, but that's just the thing. You get out of us what you want to get out of us.
Absolutely. And that, you know, a lot of what we kind of talked about in that vein is we talked about community, and I've known you to be a rather critical person, you know, in the way you view things, which is good. We need that. But before the pandemic, how would you describe the state of the California heavy metal music scene?
It's growing, but sometimes that growth isn't always good. You hear a lot of people say the market's getting oversaturated, and sometimes that is the truth. It's getting harder for people to find stuff because there's so much out there, which isn't necessarily bad. Another thing is with the internet and how much access we have to all these bands that are popping up. Sometimes I feel like our sounds are not being isolated. Like, remember back in the 80s, like there was a Bay Area thrash sound. There was a New York death metal sound. There was a Florida death metal sound. There's a Texas death metal sound, Midwest death metal sound. Now, sometimes I feel like with the internet and the amount of influences we have access to, some people blend together. And that kind of touches on what Lunchbox said a little bit earlier. You go to a show with 5 bands and they all sound the same, and maybe you have 1 or 2 bands in the middle that really stand out. And I think for Northern California, where we're at, there's not a lot of guys. You got slam guys, and slam is a very distinctive, down-tempo, groovy genre of death metal. They took like one riff from, it's a Suffocation, something of Inveracity, and then they made a whole genre out of that.
I was really geared up for how you were going to put that, dude. It's a one riff, and I'm just like, all right, don't laugh yet.
Yeah, and they made a whole genre of it. But with Northern California, we have this very techie Black Dahlia Murder sound that everyone goes for, almost like a modern Black Dahlia Murder, Thy Art is Murder, everyone ends in murder sort of sound everyone's going for. And sometimes I feel like here we are weirdly doing the East Coast death metal hardcore thing that you hear from Suffocation, Dying Fetus. Like, we have a very East Coast sound versus West Coast sound, personally. But I guess to tie all that back into your question, I really think it's growing for the good. I think COVID is probably going to help weed out some guys just doing it to do it. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I see so many people. I want to let's start a slam band this week. Let's start a tech death band this week. I want to start a symphonic folk post-pagan black metal band this week. Like, dude, where's your heart in the genre you want to play?
Yeah, why don't you play what you want to play instead of thinking about who you want to sound like?
Yeah, and sometimes, and you'll get these bands that form for a handful of months. And because they grew up here their entire lives, they have their high school followings coming to the shows. And not a bad thing, but like,
but it stops.
Yeah, it's so short lived. There's no heart in it. And then they're like, well, I'm gonna do a slam. Like, dude, have your heart in something, because when you keep doing one thing or another or ping ponging between genres, to me, I don't think you're serious about any of it. And there's a lot of people in Sacramento that are guilty of this.
Everywhere.
I
think you're taking away. I think you're taking away recognition from bands who are trying to do it for serious. We're not just a flavor, bands aren't just a flavor of the month thing. But luckily, if you persevere, if you have a good business sense, if you're not a fucking asshole, it's easy to get where you want to get eventually, as long as you remember it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Couple things real quick before we move on. I want to touch on your point, but I just wanted to say hi to the guitar lord, Ben Harris from Bab Morta. He showed up.
Yep.
What's up, Ben?
And then,
thank you, Ben. Legion in Veracity. Thank you. That's the fucking Suffocation song. Once they get about 3 minutes in, the slam riff comes in, and everyone made a fucking genre out of that.
I just love that he knew exactly what you were talking about.
Exactly.
Like he didn't even need to think about it. He was on it. You said it. Boom. Ben's comment pops up. I love it. And then what's up, Rose? A buddy of mine from fucking 25 years ago. But on your point, to how you put it about people just starting different genre bands to just do it, a buddy of mine made the statement that the metal scene took a hit when all the fans decided to pick up a guitar and learn how to play enough to write these tech death songs. I know so many, they're not kids anymore, but so many kids in like 2009, to 2012 that would learn all these cool sweeps and learn all this crazy fast stuff, but they never learned the fundamentals. They never learned how to sit down and write. They never learned the slightest thing about theory. They just learned how to do a couple cool tricks and blend them all together to make something half passable.
Yep.
And they get a good drummer.
Exactly. Or some of these bands that they pick up a 9-string guitar and they do nothing but these open chord stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, in order to have a really thick rhythm end, you have to be doing, thick chords, utilizing like your B, G sharp, B. Oh, sorry, that's my tuning for me. B, G sharp, B. I mean, you have to have those driving fucking power chords. But there's some guys where it's nothing but watered down, gent, hardcore. And because it's just heavy sounding, that's what they're just aiming. I just want to be heavy. I don't really want to write a good song, or I don't really want to be interesting. I just want to be heavy, learn a couple sweet patterns to make myself seem way more interesting than what I'm really doing. And I'll have a small following, but I'll abandon it in 2-ish months. And
yeah. Speaking of sound, I think Ben Harris will appreciate this question. Can you give us an auditory rundown of your guitar rig?
Yes.
He's been waiting all night.
Yeah. So I'm endorsed by Kloss Guitars. So I am using my endorsed guitar through Kloss 7-string. And utilizing Fishman Fluence ceramic pickups, the modern ceramics, Kaler multi-scale bridge. I have a scale length of 25.5 to 27. I'm running through a Line 6 G90 wireless relay into a Helix, where my EQ and signal chain is very simple, believe it or not. I have a gate. I'm emulating one of the Rev amplifiers. I have an overdrive pedal in there. A little delay, paragraphic EQ, and that all goes out to a BBE Maxcom, which is a sonic maximizer, compressor, and noise gate. 1 unit, single rack space. It's analog. I love using it for shaping and contouring the low end and high end. And that goes into a TubeWorks Moss valve for my power section, out to my Arachnid 412 cabinets.
Did you see Rivy's comment? He just threw up a bunch of question marks. By the way, if you guys didn't know, we grabbed a sound nerd for this. This is a cabinet maker. And I don't mean the guy who makes your kitchen cabinets. I mean a guy who makes guitar and bass cabinets and even custom, instruments. So sorry guys, we grabbed a sound nerd. You're gonna deal with that.
Yeah, I wish I could do custom instruments. I could probably help someone out with their instrument, but I'm definitely not the professional when it comes to building instruments. So I wish I could claim that, but that's where my skill set falls a little short.
Well,
Didn't you just work on Curtis's bass?
No, I've never worked on Curtis's. I built his bass caps.
I thought that custom bass was yours.
Oh God, I wish. Which one? So Curtis is a fucking connoisseur of basses. Are you talking about that double neck one that has both a bass and 9-string guitar on it, or one of his Leonard 10 strings?
One of his Leonard 10 strings.
So those are made by like Pratt and God, what's the company? We always joke about it. Who's that dude who sings Pop Some Tags? I'm gonna pop some tags. Only got $20 in my
Macklemore.
Yeah, so he play. Oh, there it is. So I jokingly started calling this bass a Macklemore because it's called a Muckleroy. Because it's called a Muckleroy. And when he first said it, I was like, I couldn't remember Muckleroy, but Macklemore like stuff. So Curtis plays custom basses through Pratt and Muckleroy, and he's also endorsed through Kloss, like I am as well, who's out of Germany.
Badass, man. I have to say, as a drummer, I actually knew some of what you were talking about. So.
That's good, man.
I understand.
I understood a little bit in the analog and all that, but
understood Helix, Line 6, Signal Chain, Sonic Maximizer, BBE. I understood all that. That I saw some people in the chat while you're rattling those things off. They're just like, "What?" That's awesome.
Yeah. Christopher said, I want to play guitar like that with Guitar Theory. Bro, I like No Theory.
bullshit.
I like no theory whatsoever. I can't read music. I know the general sweep shapes I'm doing. I know how to express, major, minor, third movements, but that's about it. I know the notes on my guitar because I did take one theory class in college back when I was like 19, which is 3 months. But no, I know no theory, and I can't read music.
Just remember, though, dude, there are two sides to theory. Theory is a combination of all the technical stuff that, like you said, most of us only know the bare minimum. But the important part of theory, the functional part of theory, the part of theory that really fucking matters, is the ability to capture the mood of music, to tell a story musically. And that is where I do believe you excel. It's one of the only things I'm good at. I'm not a good drummer. I just know how to make things sound cool in the right moment.
Yeah. My theory teacher, when I was in college, back when I was like 19, this was in Oklahoma, she said she'd rather have a dope, talented bassist who could, at minimum, read numbering. So I guess to read music, you could do like standard notation. But then there's something called like numbered notation where like all the chords are, a chord or something represents a number instead of a note. And she said she'd rather a bassist who could do that than the dude who knows theory. Because some people that you meet that know theory aren't the greatest musicians ever. They just know. They know the theory.
I've actually jammed with a few of those, man. Music students, and all they wanted to do was stay in like one realm, one pitch, one key. They didn't want to venture out of that because of theory. It's like, oh, hold on, let's try to be a little creative here. We could use that theory, but we got to go outside the box. And a couple of these guys I've jammed with never went outside the box because of theory. They never got creative because of it.
Right, because they're stuck on that one side of it.
Exactly. So just to give an example of kind of where that kind of came into play with the Wormflesh, we're definitely trying out to have a second guitarist in the band, Stephen Young, and he's really good, theory-laden guy, jazz guy as well, and Curtis. And Curtis brought a riff to us, and dude, the riff was dope, actually. The way he phrase is dope, but it just didn't quite have that worm flesh tone quite yet. And as we're working it out, I said, hey, what if we move these notes around? And they both looked at me and said, that's like wrong. I'm like, what do you mean it's wrong? It sounds great to me. It sounds brutal. And like, well, no, it's like, it's wrong. How can it be wrong? It's art, like, right? How can it be wrong? And that's when Steven broke it down to me. He said, he's like, I've been listening to the bands you've suggested I listen to like get an idea of where you're coming from. He said, even they, after listening to them, are staying within scales and they're staying within certain keys. He said, you, I hope this doesn't sound like I'm tooting my own horn, but he said, he's like, the way you write, he's like, you write, oh God, I forgot the word he even said, atonal. I'm like, what does that even mean? Like, what's atonal? It's like, you use practically every note that just there is the music without rhyme or reason. Like, you'll make a song that maybe you're using a couple notes that form a chord, but you're doing all these other notes that don't properly make a chord. It's like, what you're doing is closer to the jazz than it is death metal. And I was like, okay.
So
like, I was like,
you're like when the king of Austria in Amadeus told Mozart, your music has too many notes.
So it's something like that. Not that it's too many notes, but when I write a Wormflesh song, I'm not thinking about key. I'm not thinking about chord structures. I'm not thinking about what notes you have to play in a key to satisfy said key or scale. I'm using whatever sounds good to me to set the mood or create the feeling. And I guess that means if I'm using like every fucking note, I'm using every fucking note. And this is where it ties into what Brandon was saying. I was telling, I was like, I guess you gotta learn to play Wormflesh for what Wormflesh is. You can't bring this theory mentality and try to wrap it around what we're doing. This is the sound. This is what's being played. Don't try to overanalyze it using theory. Just let feeling take over.
Agreed.
Like, when you listen to it, like, don't you feel something? Don't you feel the brutality? I didn't write anything of what I write super theory laden. Now I do know how to transition from a shred riff to a slam riff utilizing similar notes within what I was just playing to keep some sort of familiarity, some sort of glue to the structure. But if what I play next uses a whole bunch of fucking notes that don't even resemble what I played previously, I'm not thinking about it like that.
Oh, it's getting heated down there in the comment section, dude. Like after you said Steve told you were wrong, and here's why. Ben's like, then Suffocation's wrong. So's Old Carcass. Basically all old school death metal. Like Ben's tearing up his living room.
He just looked at me weird. I was like, in Curtis's riff they brought, all I wanted to do was move a couple notes a half step. Not even far, bro. That's one fret. A half step on a guitar is one fret. I was like, man, if we move this here, one fret, a half step, it like really makes it like, it really brings it into Wormflesh realm. And they just looked at me like, but that's wrong. Or like, and they just looked at me like I was crazy. But that's what it took to make it sound like Wormflesh, oddly.
So we've talked around Wormflesh for the last 45 minutes or so. What is going on with Wormflesh nowadays?
Right. We have like 3-4 songs down that when we get back to shows, we'll start introducing. Defenestration, which is a newer one that we maybe played a couple times before COVID really hit. We have this really fucking dope one that we're working on. No name. The other two have no names for them, but we're working on music. Mitch sadly broke his hand recently, though, so I don't know how long he'll be out. So I'm just riff smithing, so to say.
So when you guys write songs and name songs for being okay, what would you classify you guys? Technical death metal, what would you call your genre?
I I would honestly say we're just kind of under that umbrella of brutal death metal. It's brutal. It can be techy. It can be sludgy. It can be groovy. There's a lot of flexibility, under that umbrella.
Mm-hmm.
If you call this just tech death, some people, if we went under the phrase tech death, people are going to start comparing us to Necrophagist, Archspire, and we sound nothing like those bands. Like I said, the labels are really more for the fans to wrap their mind around sensitivity-wise. If you start calling yourself something, you're going to have the fucking elitists come out of the woodworks. You don't sound like that band. You don't sound like band A, B, or C. How dare you call yourselves that? So...
Well, okay, so as we're, talking about like sound, like how do you guys name your songs? Do you guys try to find the craziest words to put together? Does it actually go with the lyrics of the song? How does that work for you guys? Because but before you answer, the reason I say that is right after we talk about this, we're going to show a Wormflesh music video, and some of these words, to me, maybe I'm a simpleton, I don't know, but to me, the words, they don't make sense to me. I don't know what I don't know what to say about them. But that's death metal song titles for you. So how do you guys come up with your titles? What do you guys write about?
So we write a lot about a couple things. Some of it is real, like propagated self-hatred through viral media. Is a song about a girl who starts performing self-surgery in her own room in order to fit Hollywood's idea of what beauty is. Coming from someone with three,
I like that.
Coming from someone with 3 daughters, it's important to realize what you see on TV is not real. Excoriation evisceration comes from me a little bit. It's not that I'm ripping wounds open on my body, but I sadly sometimes can't help but pick at my own scabs. Sometimes I like the pain. So it's weird. It's like when I floss my teeth. Another weird fact about me. If the floss cuts your gums, I actually like that pain. It's weird.
No, because then you know it's working.
Yeah. House of Flesh. Sometimes the names are like serial killer oriented, but it's really rare. Some of them have like real topics, but House of Flesh came from a song that I wrote at my end of my career with Siphon Soul, which Richard Cobb, Wormflesh vocalist, was the vocalist for that. Guitarist had a weird dream where he was in a house made out of muscle tissue and sinew, and it was breathing and moving, and then he came to a wall where it looked like thousands of defleshed corpses were struggling to get out of this sticky, gooey sinew mucus, and then through a hole kind of opened, and through came like a fleshless torso with a eye on his hand, and we adapted that to be more of a serial killer thing, but that's where the song name House of Flesh came from. So Unilateral Execution, I think, which is another song that you're going to play. Sometimes, God, I forgot what we used for the influence of that, but that one is, I think it's, I'd have to go through Rich's lyrics, but we decided to make that one kind of political based on all the fronts of, sometimes I feel like the world leaders are in one room all having a fucking glass of scotch, laughing at the fucking turmoils we have between countries. Sometimes I feel the shit is super staged. Our wars with Iraq, our wars with Iran, sometimes the fabricated hate between countries. I feel like all these world leaders are in one room just fucking laughing. Look what my country is doing to your country this week. So Unilateral Execution, I feel, is a social commentary on a collective movement between world leaders to destroy us so they can gain profits, rewards, etc.
That makes
their
sense.
bank account. Bill. Yeah.
That makes sense. So, all right. So let's take a little break and let's check out this music video. You know what? I'm not even gonna botch the name. Please introduce your own music video. The EE.
So this is the debut music video for the album Excoriation Evisceration with the self-titled music video Excoriation Evisceration.
All right. Let's take a little break. Let's check it out.
We're going to take a break, not you. You stay here.
Oh, where'd they go?
Hell yeah, man. So, you kind of explained the lyrics, but what was the story of that video, man?
So a couple fun facts. Ben Harris, who's in the chat, That would be his other partner in crime, Mr. Joe, on the guitar, Salazar, and Jamie, his wife, actually did the makeup on that video. I wanted to be a real guy. So at one of the spring meltdowns that I backlined, I met Mr. Anthony Ortiz, who runs Divergent Studios, and we created a professional relationship via his production company in Arachnid, and he's got a band, of course, too. So we started discussing a music video. We thought Excoriation Evisceration was one of those songs that best displayed almost every kind of little trick we have up our sleeves musically. And I kind of wanted simple. I was like, I kind of want it dark, like Cal Decapitation's Forced Gender Reassignment when they're on the bands, like not so much the storyline of the music video. I kind of shadows on everyone's faces. You don't really see like a whole band like in a big giant room. I want it very intimate, up and close with the musicians that you see playing. You know, that's why everything is a close up of Richard's face, you know, pretty close up, you know, Mitch. Everything's close up of my hands. And then I was like, I want to do a storyline. I want this to be a real guy with a real issue. And I kind of want to portray that he's hiding it. And luckily that's come through with a lot of people, you know, like, oh God, dude is facing the fight the second day. And I wanted it to be more of a realistic gore, not some stupid fucking, I'm going to take this woman and bind her up by her wrists and cut her guts open and play with her guts and fuck her guts, like the shit you generally see with brutal death metal. I want it to be very realistic to something that happens to people in real life.
Lunchbox, you are muted, sir.
But yet still hold that frantic nature of a death metal music video with the shortcuts. And don't get me wrong, I did appreciate the close-ups of Anthony, Anthony's face or Tony's face. I appreciated, the handwork and whatnot. But I won't lie, I could watch Mitchell drum all day. That's my boy.
I wish there was more Mitch in there. I'm not gonna lie. Like when we shot the music video, we did the storyline at my house. So everything you saw involving the storyline shot at my house.
Have you guys got cease and desisted yet for the logos?
No, not yet. Luckily.
Wait, would they do that?
The GMC and the soft soap? Oh yeah.
Oh God.
Oh yeah.
So the band portion of the music video was filmed at our studio. The fun story about that. So the night before we were going to go film the studio portion or the band portion of the music video, we went to go film an Arachnid Cabinets promo. That was part of the package deal with making some cabinets for Anthony and his band in exchange for music video and media goods. We get to the studio and there's giant signs everywhere. We're going to have no power tomorrow. Smud's working on the transformer. I'm like, fuck, we need the power because we got to power the lights we might be using. After we filmed the Arachnid promo with light and then being able to plug in everything, I ran to Home Depot, dropped $300 on my credit card, kept the receipt, and kept the packaging nice, and got an extra LED workshop light, got a tripod stand so you could do things lighting from above. We were able to put two behind Mitch's kit, like when you saw the music video with that extreme pan out. I own one of those personally, but another one of those lights you saw was one I had to buy. Next day, I packaged everything up super fucking nice, took it back to Home Depot, got my money back.
To do it.
It's the wrong one.
Hey, some people let that shit defeat them. I was like, we got a problem solved now.
That's right. That's right. There's no problems, just opportunities for solutions.
Exactly.
And speaking of opportunities and solutions, though, we talk a little bit about worm flesh, but we need to talk about Arachnid cabinets, man, because, dude.
Wait, I thought we were going to talk about a drinking game real quick.
Oh yeah, that's right. I think we should do that. Let's do that first.
All right, just listen up before we get into the music nerds. Usually Brandon concocts the drinking games. But I decided to take my best foot forward on this one. And so, being as you have your libations at hand, I want to play a little drinking game with you called Grindcore Band or Not. The rules are simple. I've got 10 band names. You are going to tell me if they are a grindcore band or not a grindcore band. And no, don't play that elitist bullshit with me. And don't play that music is subjective thing with me. It's a yes or no question, sir. If you're wrong, you drink. If we're wrong, we drink. Or if you're right, we're drink. And hell, fuck it, we're probably just going to drink anyway. But let's have a little fun. Are we clear on the rules, sir?
We are. I'm going to do beers for this because I will get fucked up if I did shots.
Okay. So go ahead and crack your beer. I cracked a new one. I am now drinking a Moonlight Brewing Co. Death and Taxes from San Francisco. I pimped that because they're local and I might be able to pull a sponsorship off that.
I am drinking a Pabst Blue Ribbon because this is Mitch's first choice if they don't have Rolling Rock. He likes them rocks.
Dude, Rolling Rock is my favorite cheap beer. Like, if I'm drinking cheap, you know, that's watered down Heineken.
That's why you and Mitch are such good friends. That's his fucking drink of choice. If he doesn't do PBR or there's nothing better at the like, so I'm gonna get a pack of rocks.
Yep, and we drank them. We drank many of them together. We used to slaughter 30 packs when he was a kid.
Oh, is it weird to think he's like 30? I think he just turned 30 or 31 this year.
31.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it used to be crazy. I met him. He was like 15, 16, and just, you know, an asshole kid who loved to fight everybody. And
oh my God, he told me about that. He's, you know, we've talked about that, dude. Me and Mitch have been creating death metal since our mid-20s. We started doing music around 2014, 2015.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy to think it's been that long of a journey.
Yeah. And yet, like I said, there, you know, and you always forget people had lives before that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I said, to think of knowing him as a kid, and the first time I saw Wormflesh, we get there, and I see this familiar, slightly older face unloading a drum kit, and I'm like, no. And he turns around and spots me and just goes, Lunchbox! And then dives into my arms like, you know, like your boy would.
Yeah, Mitch. That's Mitch, man. Mitch is one of a kind, man.
Hell of a guy.
Yeah. All right. I'm ready to get into this game, though, if you are.
All right. And those of y'all out there in the chat, feel free to chime in, drink along. Band number 1, grindcore or not? Bathtub Shitter.
Not.
I hate to inform you, sir. Take a drink. That is a grindcore band.
Go figure. Go figure.
And I verified that they counted as a grindcore band when I made it a point to look them up. My wife was here doing research with me. We put them on. We were both into it. Just be happy I couldn't find any real information on the band Adolf Hitler's Nipples. All right?
Bro, there's a band called Aborted Hitler Cock.
Yes, I listened to them, but I figured you would know who they were, so I bailed on that one.
I do know who Aborted Hitler Cock is. All right. Next one.
Band number 2, grindcore or not? Poop Loser.
God, I want to put it past the band that be named that. I'm going to go not again. Not a grindcore band.
All right, you would be correct, Brandon.
All
Take
right.
a drink. Poop Loser is actually a song we may all remember by Mudvayne off their first album before LD50, that the only lyrics to it were, "You're a motherfucking piece of shit and you'll never amount to nothing. You're a fucking piece of shit and you'll never amount to nothing."
Mudvayne had something out before LD50. By the way, classic album. I don't give a shit what your background is, what kind of release you are. LD.
And by the way, speaking of that, my money, the Aftershock Festival that is coming October 7th through 10th, they have one band that they're touting as a reunion, and that is what my money is on, is a Mudvayne reunion.
Mudvayne?
That's what my money's on.
Oh,
That's what my prayers are on.
That would be dope, dude. Mudvayne would be sick, dude. Oh god, that would be cool. I'd be stoked for that.
Well, just remember, your heavyweight humble co-host duo will be out there with all of our handsomeness covering the Aftershock Festival because we are official Aftershock
Ladies
affiliates.
and gentlemen, you're going to hear a lot of this for the next 5 months.
Yep, deal with it. What the fuck? Ben, I would tell you to get off my fucking chat and stop watching my show, but no, fuck that. Now you're being punished. Keep watching my show. LD50 is trash. Fuck you.
You gotta remember, man, Dad's in his 40s.
No, he's in his 90s. All right? He just looks like he's in his 40s because of all the gains.
So we'll have to go with the rain joke later. Ben, I promise you, I'm coming home from getting those cigarettes here soon. I promise, boy.
Yeah.
All right, next band.
All right. Band number 3, grindcore or not, Diarrhea Planet.
What?
Grindcore.
Take a drink, sir. They are not a grindcore band. They are a rock and roll band, ironically out of Murfreesboro, Tennessee, 5 miles from where my mother lived, that call themselves an alternative rock band ran through metal filters.
Can you pick band names of bands that are established as grindcore? Damn. It's a real
No,
band.
because I'm tired of Brandon pitching softballs at people. So I decided to make this a challenge for you a little bit because you're
Real
smart
band, but
and
just
you're
like
and you're
grindcore.
deep.
Real
What?
band, just like grindcore. Great.
Right? Oh God, I got a drink.
That's all right. I'll drink again.
Do it.
All right.
Band number 4 in the question of grindcore band or not, Old Lady Drivers.
Grindcore band.
That is correct, sir.
You know, I have the answers in front of me, but I'm not actually going to look at them because these are all so fun. Okay.
Oh, man.
The halfway point in our list brings us to a quintessential grindcore name. The band name is Icicle Dick.
Grindcore.
Take a drink, sir. That is not
No
true.
way.
Fuck.
Icicle
good
Dick
one.
is something I made up because that sounded like a grindcore band name.
I think we need to start that as a studio project. Make it real.
Icicle Dick. Hey, Ben.
Like I said, I was like, this one's going to be tough because that sounds like some obscure grindcore band name.
Hey,
Bro, like I said, there's a band out there called Aborted Hitler Cock. I would not put it past any grind band to have names like that.
hey, can
Dude,
we get Robert and Ben to start Icicle Dick?
No, I want to be an Icicle Dick.
All right, you get a drum for Icicle Dick?
Can I sing for Icicle Dick? We can find a better drummer.
Okay,
I think-
I'll drum.
All right. I think it's a stab.
Ben's in. All right. Number 6.
Alcohol.
We are an alcohol-fueled grindcore band.
Wait, ain't no cut now? That's heroin fueled. My bad.
All right. Number 6 in our list of grindcore band or not, See You Next Tuesday.
God, I'm going to say no, but it is.
It is.
Yep, it is.
C-U-N-T.
See, I was actually really surprised at that, and I went and listened to him and was like, no, yep.
Someone, should I answer a question real quick? Someone's asking me, another question for Robert. Do you have a battle jacket / vest and what band? No, I don't do that stuff. And I'm going to might sound conceited, but I think it's slightly tacky to an extent.
I'm with it.
No harm, no foul.
Yeah, like I
Yeah.
said, I'm with it. I've never been a club guy. That being said, I respect clubs and what they do and their cause. But that also being said, man, I'm taking clothes off on stage. I'm not trying to wear a heavy leather or jean jacket vest. Man, I'm trying to get down to my boxers if I can get away with it.
Yeah, honestly, I own enough band shirts to like represent who I love like daily. I always thought the battle jacket vest thing a little played out. Everyone tries to do it to an extent. No, I'm not knocking anybody who does it. Just for me personally, it's just never done it for me.
I'm with it. All right.
Question 6. God, grindcore bands.
No, we're on 7.
Oh, we're on 7 already? Goddamn.
Yeah, you bombed number 6. I think you're sitting at 2 right now, which is right now you're fighting. This is a real nail biter to see who's going to take last place.
God, it's gonna be me.
So yeah, every guest we have, we usually play a similar type of game that kind of relates to them. And so far in the lead is the Randy Savages with
a perfect sweep
with their Macho Man Randy Savage knowledge.
Like I said, perfect sweep. Gershok and David Howard Thornton are number 2.
I feel with grindcore, it's like like you said, dude. See You Next Tuesday is a grindcore band.
That shocked the shit out of me too, dude. All right, I'm not gonna lie. Like when I was like doing research, I was like, no, okay,
Yeah.
okay, all right.
Maybe bands like Godseed and things like that, and Carcass and Napalm Death and Aborted Hitler Cock, I'd probably be doing better.
Yeah. But see, I didn't, like I said, I actually wanted to dig deep because I figured, I was worried you, of all people, might know who these bands were.
God, the grindcore, the thing about the grindcore scene is the band names are so ridiculous, I don't think you could ever realistically keep track of what's a real grindcore band and what's like not.
The point.
I'm just saying, if you had told me you were a fan of Icicle Dick, I was going to tell you to pull out a fucking CD. Like I was gonna be like, prove that shit,
Dude. Icicle Dick's my favorite band. Oh yeah,
dude. You're a fan of Icicle Dick too. They're split with fucking Anal Blast back in 1943. Like, yeah, like I was gonna be like, no, show me that shit. Like, all right, number 7, Holocausto Cannibal.
Yeah, that is a grindcore band.
Correct. That is a grindcore band. All right. Next on the list, number 8, the Tony Danza Tap Dance Extravaganza.
God, I don't know if those guys consider themselves grindcore, but I remember back in high school, so that's a grindcore band. But fuck. I want to say no, but I never knew if they really considered themselves grindcore. Yeah, do they consider themselves grindcore?
They do not, but I will give you a pass just based on the fact that you knew who they were.
Okay.
great band, by the way.
Yeah, actually. I was digging it.
Dude, someone asked Tony Danza if he knew there was a band like named after him, and I think he said no. It was like on Conan O'Brien or some shit like that, which was pretty funny.
That was
they played
hilarious.
a clip too, and he's like, "Whoa."
Go figure.
All right, softball on the next one. Anal Blast.
Yes, that's definitely a grindcore band.
Oh, yeah. Good dudes, or at least the singer was a cool dude when I saw him with the Meat Shits.
Oh, yeah, dude, Robert from the Meat Pits, because his name's Robert as well.
Robert Dethridge.
Yep, I remember at, oh God, I have 2, you know what, let's finish up this game, and I have 2 funny stories involving Robert Dethridge. We'll do after this.
All right, I'm with it. Number 10, and let's see, that would put you at a 50% score.
All right.
Last Days of Humanity.
Yes.
Yes, correct.
And in that vein, not a grindcore band. Humanity's Last Breath is an actual like super sick band. So check them out.
Oh God. So want to talk about Robert Dethridge real quick? Just my 2 funny stories I have involving him.
Yes.
All right. So first one was at not a Spring Meltdown, but I think it was one of the zombie balls that I was backlining. Josh Leese, Born Dead Productions, and he was there. And I forget if he saw us play, but all night he kept introducing himself to me, like, "Hey, I'm Robert Deathrage. I'm from the Meat Shits." Like every time I saw him, he kept reminding me who he was, and that's one. I think for probably a couple hours that kept going on. I was like, dude, I know who you are. Like, funny story was I saw the Meat Shits play on the Y. So I'm in the back, and I think I'm there not only to see the Meat Shits, but my buddy Adam Whitley with the new Plague.
Yeah, he used to play in the Meat Shits.
He's at least produced a couple of their albums, or one or two albums, if he didn't play with them.
They had a drummer that also played in the new Plague.
Yeah, maybe that was it. So I'm hanging back watching the Meat Shits with Adam's fiance, girlfriend, Rin, and Robert Deathrage is up there, right? And because, I'm like 10, 15 people, deep from the front and from hearing anything, you see him and a chick have an altercation. And next thing you know, she, tries to throw her beer on him, and he, calls her, a stupid cunt or something, and dumps a whole pitcher of beer on her, and she fucking swings on him, and he literally swings right back at her, dude.
Oh, fuck.
Fucking close fist. And then there's a whole stage altercation between him and this chick. I wish I could hear the words that were exchanged, but the Meat Shits, everything is, that misogynistic era of grindcore where
they come out to piss you off.
Yeah, and that's really what it is. And I think he said something, and the chick, I feel like this chick does not know what the Meat Shits were about and got super fucking offended, and that's where the altercation started.
Touching on that, the Meat Shits would never fly today. Shit, the Meat Shits didn't even really fly 20 years ago.
I feel like the Mentors just sadly don't fly today, but they were one of those bands that didn't even fly in the 90s.
Yeah. They just didn't. They're that band that promoters, even Mike Vanek of all people, as soon as he announced he was having the Mentors, he's like, just so you know, the views of the Mentors do not reflect the views of 209 Productions, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the thing about it is, when you actually sit down, don't get me wrong, some of Robert Deathrage's real views, they mirror the music, and it's kind of tough to have a conversation with the guy. But for the most part, the Mentors, they know they're up there just to talk some shit. That's their whole shtick, is they're there to bother. If one person storms out because they're bothered and the rest of the people laugh, that's their goal. And when you talk to them, they're actually really cool. Same with Anal Blast. They come off the stage apologizing. They're like, hey, man, if I bothered you, sorry, man. It's all part of the show.
It's like Cannibal Corpse or any other of those early, horror, gore, death metal bands. They'll tell you it's George Fisher, either George Fisher or Alex Webster in an interview said it best. Monsters are not gonna rip out of a woman's vagina anytime soon. It's just shock value. It really is. They don't condone the violence. It's art, and whatever grabs your attention is gonna sell. And they're right, man. You remember, the first time I fucking saw The Wretched Spawn by Cannibal Corpse in a fucking, record store, I had to have that CD. Remember, I hid it from my parents for a minute, too, until they, found my CD collection. I stopped giving a shit about 17, 18.
Right, about the time they didn't care either.
Not the time they cared, but what were they going to do? I worked, had good grades in school, What were they going to do?
He listened to some weird music. It's cool. I was a juggalo, dude, so my mom had to worry about me.
Oh. I was going to say, there was a joke about juggalos not being able to juggle. That was... I'll have to send you that meme sometime. For those of you who know, juggalos actually can't juggle.
It came up on my memories a week ago. I get hit with that at least once a year.
Hey, Joel Horner's on here. What's up, Joel? Yeah, Seth Putnam, one of those guys where anal cunt just shit never flew really with anal cut, and shit would definitely not fly today with anal cut, sadly.
No.
Yeah. Those guys were visionaries though in pushing it, and even if their personal views were probably reflected in the music, I mean it's art. You gotta push it, right?
Entertainment's
One
entertainment.
of my favorite shows I've ever seen was literally in a buddy's backyard. It was anal mucus and anal cunt.
Ooh,
In a backyard show, and it was glorious.
Oh,
back
God.
when the workshop was outdoors, I got to see Anal Blast and the Meat Shits back to back. And like there were about 500 people there to watch the Meat Shits, and Robert Dethridge comes up wearing a fucking ski mask with the holes cut out, and like fucking straight up, dude. Like I'm standing there rocking out, thinking, man, if I were to go out and tell people these things, I would probably get stomped in the town square. But because I know who I'm amongst, and we all understand the gimmick,
Yeah.
this is fucking incredible. Like, you know, like this is the time to be like, all right, I'm gonna see who gets offended, because whoever they are, they've just never been here before.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes that's what it's all about. I feel like we digressed a little bit. Brandon, you on the Brandon, you on
Arachnid cabinets.
Yeah, man.
God.
You know, we need to get to the source material, man. So you've been doing Arachnid cabinets for a while. Like, where did the love of building guitar and bass cabs come from? Because if nobody knows what Arachnid cabinets are, go online, go check them out. They're probably the sickest looking and sounding guitar and bass cabs you'll ever see.
I appreciate that, man. I'm gonna just plug the website real quick. www.arachnidcabs.com. For anybody who's interested, you can go on there. You pick your instrument of choice, bass guitar. From there, it'll take you to all my cabinet configurations. You can kind of build your cabs from the ground up, which is nice. But let's get back to the root of the question. My dad was a gunsmith in the military, and he had a workshop, and he was always in there. And he's really fucking good at what he does, by the way. And I skateboarded. So skateboarders are already familiar with building ramps, or at least initially the desire to build ramps. My woodworking skills started from my parents moving me out to Oklahoma. They're military, and I was like peak at my skateboarding. So for a birthday, my parents bought me a half pipe or a mini pipe construction plan set. We're talking 6 feet tall, 16 feet in total depth. We're talking like 4 foot by 16 foot decking, coping. So that was what me and my dad did for about a part of a year. We built this giant fucking skate ramp, and that was my introduction to tools and really use them and cutting the 2x4s. Dude, we built this fucking epic mini ramp, our mini pipe, so to say. And I used the scrapple we have to build boxes constantly, so I could like grind them and ollie onto them and do shit. Sadly, with Oklahoma, it's either too hot, too cold, and there's only a couple months where it's really comfortable to skateboard. So that shit sort of sadly started to rot as I got better at guitar. And I started realizing, you know, it doesn't hurt to fuck up on guitar the way it does to fuck up skateboarding. And about 17, I had the idea, well, I have a bunch of scrap wood. I'd like to maybe build my own cabinet. I couldn't afford a 412 Mesa. I couldn't afford these things. So I built a 115, and that got me in, like when I was 17. But it was shitty. I wish I still had the little stupid cabinet, but it kind of got wrecked through my move to Oklahoma, back out to California. And the desire kind of stepped away. As soon as I moved back out to Sacramento, I just was doing music. I joined Siphon Soul with my vocalist of Wormflesh, Rich Cobb, and I was just doing music. And then at the end of Siphon Soul, I was doing in-home care, and I just had a vision one night. I drew out a logo. Like the Arachnid logo you see is exactly what I drew out, but stylized by artist at the end of my initial thought. And I just hit up a buddy one night. I was like, dude, I want to get back into making speaker cabs. I was already kind of on this kick of trying to do something beyond just being a music member in the community. I had a thing called Arachnid booking for a minute, and it was okay, but dealing with other bands and hoping they'd follow through, kind of got nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
But I liked the name. I had a pet tarantula, so I always liked arachnids. It was the tarantula was a symbolism of getting over my fear. I used to be deathly afraid of spiders until like my last year in Oklahoma. One of the desert browns just crawled on me. Me and my dad were doing lawn work, had a long sleeve on, gloves. Next thing my dad's like, Bobby. I'm like, what, Dad? He's like, there's a tarantula on your arm. I'm like, get the fuck out, Dad. I didn't say that to him. I respected my dad more than that. But I was like, what the fuck? And I mean, I'm like frozen in fear. And my dad said, you're wearing gloves. Put your hand out in front of it. And the thing was just mellow. And I put it in a part of the yard, and for about 2 days, it kind of stayed in the local area. And about fourth day, it went around. I was like, fuck, tarantulas are dope. I'm not deathly afraid of big spiders anymore, or spiders. So Arachnid always stuck with me, and it's a metaphor with starting a business, of all things, of getting over a fear. It's scary to do this shit, guys. Like, it's, I'm pretty sure when you first started the podcast, you had some, like, what if there's no viewers? What if there's no... It's got to be nerve-wracking, right? To dive into something like this, right? Even a band.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's not putting your money on the line in the same way. That's not putting, I mean, I guess to a degree it is. That's still putting a product out there. That's still trying to get people to buy into you. But, the labor of love you have to put into those cabinets, wiring, building, the aesthetics, I can't imagine the levels you go through on that, man.
So I started off, when I first started and had the idea, me and my oldest daughter's mom, when we were together at the time, we were transitioning between, living situations. And I started off with my buddy, Ryan Blass. It was like one of the first people I called. I thought he'd be super down to help me. And we started working in his garage because I wasn't in a position where I could build where I was at. Then me and my oldest daughter's mom split. I'm kind of in this weird transitional phase. Yeah, we're in our own apartment, but I'm kind of like down, on my luck, etc. Buddy Ryan says, we're not moving quick enough. Get your shit out of my garage. Basically, grab the small few tools that I have, get out of my garage. We're not moving quick enough. And I started building in my apartment. I shit you not. I mean, I'm using my chairs for my table as fucking sawhorses to be able to prop the wood. I'm cutting in my apartment on the carpet and backing up. And I mean, I'm building my first couple prototypes in the living room of my apartment. Then from there, I'm building my next couple of cabs at my buddy Jacob's house in his backyard because I lost my apartment. And I'm still trying to put cabs out. One of my first 212s went to Peter Hasselbrack of Blood Soaked, who was initially a Vader endorsee, and me and Adam Quick from Vader are super good friends. He actually came out and helped me program my CNC machine. But I digress. Back to the 212 that I'm building in this backyard. One of my first bigger artists is Peter Hasselbrack from Blood Soaked. And then I meet my wife, then girlfriend, at a show. And Jacob doesn't like that. He kicks me out of living on his couch. Yeah. And then I move in with my wife, girlfriend then. And she gives me the garage. And here's why this is huge. We own a 64.5 Mustang. Technically, she does. She says we because we're married and it's a team effort. But she rebuilt this thing with her dad when she was 16. Oh. So it's her baby. Oh, and I still maintain. But, like, she gave me the garage, this sheltered, weatherproof facility that's been housing her Mustang. She gives it to me to form a shop. and the shop has gone under many formations, transformations, but now here I am today.
So, how is business? Because I've seen so many different iterations from people who have bought the cabs that you have made. How's business going today?
Not only that, but you run like every show, every big festival for like 2-3 years is backlined by Arachnid cabinets, and that includes Brandon's Devastated Fest. That includes my CD release, Loser Fest. That includes fucking Spring Meltdown. Like every NorCal Tattoo Fest or no?
I haven't done NorCal Tattoo Fest, but I actually I was working. I shortly got employed at Cal Expo about a year or two after that NorCal Tattoo Fest started. But no, that was funny. I haven't done NorCal Tattoo Fest.
There's only been one, dude. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, there has only been one. So let's.
Yeah, we had a good story on that.
God, I was actually there. I saw the bands. My wife was walking around the convention looking at the tattoos before we had my second daughter, Keegan. So she was looking around, and I think Grave Shadow was playing that. I forgot who the big band on the bill was. We didn't get to stay all day. But
Death Angel, Skin Lab, we were on it.
Right, Steven Squeeble and Skin Lab was there. That's right. They've been making a comeback for so many years now.
We had Steve 2 weeks ago.
I remember that. I saw that ad.
He was a blast, dude.
We got to talk at Black Bomb Metal Fest a little bit, but nothing ever came up from that. But let's answer Brandon's quick. Business is good. I really wish it was booming a little bit more, but I'm not complaining. You guys know the pain of being in bands. I think the biggest challenge is having your local scene not sleep on you. And that's kind of been my biggest challenge. People are still kind of sleeping on me. They have no clue I exist. I have more cabs in Texas than I probably do in Sacramento, ironically. It's weird. But I'm trying to hopefully change that. But business is good. I'm busy. I have builds. Getting ready for NAMM.
Yes, I was just about to say, man. You just announced some big news about that a couple days ago. You just bought your first booth at NAMM, right?
Yeah, exactly. And luckily, I built a really great team. One including Ben Harris, who I haven't seen in a minute, maybe because I've been paying attention to the chat. Ben's going to come out as a booth rep. But because of the fests, as Lunchbox mentioned, because of the festivals I've backlined, because of the things I have been willing to do to not only get the product seen, but hopefully get Wormflesh on said things, that's really helped me build my following, and that's helped me get the product heard. I don't have the luxury of having some sort of Guitar Center deal where they get my cabs and people can test drive them. Magazine ads are cool, but what would a magazine ad do that you can't see on my page when it comes to photographs? Mm-hmm. So getting these things played through with people's own heads, their pedal boards, the guitars they use, that is the best way to demonstrate how the product is going to perform for these people. And what people don't realize is the cabs they're playing on have been at so many fests, have gone through nonstop hours and days of people playing through them. And when people are like, oh my God, these sound great. I'm like, dude, these have been, I don't want to say abused, because abused would get the connotation that like they've been beaten up and they're somehow, failing in a way. But people don't realize the fucking amount of playing hours that those cabs have seen. And they're my personal cabs. I still use them daily at practice. I have 2 cabs in my clean shop that I let people come to and test drive. But because of the festivals, I have this following, and I felt that the amount of shows I've been doing, the amount of artists I have now, I can fly solo at NAMM. I feel I have the backing to actually get, And I'm sorry if I'm stammering or slurring, guys. I really don't drink often.
No, dude, it's cool. We have those moments where we get too drunk on our own show, so you're perfectly fine, dude. Like, our guests are allowed free reign to get as nuts as they want to get, and we still love them for it because they took the time out of their day to come hang out with us. Yeah. So don't worry, dude. I made a statement with David Howard Thornton that I love seeing people light up when they talk about their art, their passion, their projects, dude. And you have been electric all night, but when you started talking about your cabinet story, dude, you elevated a couple levels, man. It's wonderful. Please keep going.
Yeah.
Let's see. I feel rude. Some people are asking questions, and I feel like they deserve to be answered a little bit. I don't want to go off too many times. Central Valley. I mean, I'm from Sacramento, Christopher. So, I mean, I've played Modesto with the Bad Morta crew. Even when they were, oh shit, what was when Roel and Joe were, fuck. This is the alcohol clouding my memory now.
Forever Obscured.
Forever Obscured. Yes, thank you.
Oh, dude, that's my band. Like, I missed that band so much.
Oh, dude, thanks, Ben. Ben just mentioned Spring Meltdowns and the Black Ball Metal Fest that I've backlined and played. So, God, where do I go from here with Arachnid? I know we're on NAMM, and so with NAMM, I feel that I have finally assembled amazing artists like Ben, who's in the chat right now. Ben's actually coming out not only to play as an Arachnid artist, but he's coming out to actually help me rep my booth. Mm-hmm. Meaning he's going to be a mouthpiece. He's going to, I hate using the term salesman because I'm not here to fucking sell people shit. I'm not here to force something down your throat. I'm going to let the quality and the tone speak for itself.
I was going to ask if you needed a pitch, man, but hey.
Yeah. Hey, man, I'm all for people helping me out and slutting the company, but I hate salesy aspect shit, dude. I'm not here to, like, beg you to buy a cabinet for me. I'm not here to convince you why the cab has quality. I'm going to let the work speak for itself. I'm going to show you what a shell looks like unfinished with the dovetails. I'm going to let people see their cabs in the natural state before you put all the Tolex on it. I'm going to let the cabs speak for themselves at the festivals when, dude, one of the greatest pleasures I have is when people come up to me who are strictly one company people, and then they tell me, holy shit, I thought the thing I was using was the end-all be-all. And here you are. And that's just my journey, man. I went from being the company that people were joking about on forums that, it looks like just anybody else building cabs in their garage, to being the guy I see in forums or even on groups I'm a part of saying Arachnid cabinets is on my dream gear list.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
oh, fuck yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
That's a crazy, point A to point, and then whatever I'm at, H, M and OP in my career. Lots of steps to get where I'm at. It's like I said, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Well,
I said that earlier. Same with running a business.
Well,
marathon, sprint.
Well, question for you. So I'm assuming Wurm Flesh's material is recorded on Arachnid cabs.
Oh, God. We went to Jesse, and we went direct in. So, no, I sadly cannot say that the album was recorded using Arachnid cabinets.
Oh, Jesse and his methods, dude. We did Ice Chamber too, brother.
Yeah. Dude, he gave us a dope album. I can't complain about the album. But
I love Jesse.
Yeah.
His drums are second to none.
Yeah, that's all bitches' drums were mic'd, by the way. None of that shit was triggered.
Oh, I know how Jesse does, dude. Trust me. I've sat there and I bring a 6-pack of beer in. I was there for every loser's recording sessions except the bass player.
Yeah.
And like 9/10 of that was me and Jesse just splitting beers and talking.
By the way,
Go ahead.
Side note, Rob, Dave, and Tom from Chernobog Heroes to Ashes says, what's up?
What's up?
Dude, what's up?
Dave is a drummer. He's actually a really good drummer. I've known him since I was probably 19 here in Sacramento. I tried out for his band, and I forgot what happened, whether or not they moved forward, I moved forward, but I got the jam with Dave, and I remember when we did jam, it was super electric. So Dave's always been really fucking killer. Really
his energy, dude.
Yeah.
Like he's just a great dude to be around.
Yeah.
Like whether
Positive.
whether you're playing music or just hanging out, man, he's a great dude to be around.
Yeah.
Well,
I've always.
Oh,
good.
I was just gonna say, I think this is a good opportunity. You know, we talked about Nam, we talked about your Cavs. Let's see you play a little guitar, man. We got this awesome playthrough video for Unilateral Execution.
Yeah.
And let's take a few minutes and see Mr. Robert Calhoun fucking shredding it up in Unilateral Execution. Let's check it out.
All right.
You are here because the outside world rejects you.
Fuck yeah, dude.
You saw the man himself shredding and blasting those fingers across the fretboard. It's a beautiful thing. And, you know, go get those Arachnid cabs, my friends.
Right. I'm an okay player. Yeah, I'm an okay player. I'm all right.
I like how both videos Scotty has said it was fucking brutal.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Scotty's actually a very fucking good bassist, man. Every time I've seen him play, dude, that Saint Anger cover they did, I couldn't believe how good that song could actually sound.
Right? I think we all
like
have that same feeling.
when you got away from the garbage can snare tone and like put a competent drummer into the mix. Sorry, Lars, but yeah,
I'm just saying, like, you don't have to sell Gershok to me and Brandon. Like,
Yeah.
we are on the dick of Gershok hard.
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Good friends of
Yeah,
ours.
like-
We love them.
Yeah, great guests, great band, great dudes. Like, Scotty McRib is in me and Brandon's sometimes band. Sometimes.
yeah. That's the way it should be, man. That's what's great about this little community. Even the Sacramento Valley, Bay Area sort of unity that we all have. It's kind of really nice, you know. If you come out this way, everyone kind of knows each other. You go out to the Bay, at enough fests, everyone knows each other. It's a great little brotherhood, even if we're all like 2-ish hours away.
Eh. You know,
Well, our solution is me and Brandon do this every Monday night.
Right? No, it brings everyone together, man. I mean, we're all far away. We can't do shows really. I mean, and you're giving people a chance to, you know, talk about themselves a little bit, which is you're doing the Lord's work.
all right, so we got to wrap up a little bit. We can literally talk to you for freaking ever, man. But let's wrap it up, and I have one more question for you. You've played a lot of shows. You've seen a lot of fests. What is your favorite show that you have performed, and what is your favorite fest that you have sponsored?
Oh boy, favorite show I have performed. You know what I liked that one time? That Lucky. I think we only got to play one Lucky Fest. Lucky Fest was pretty interesting, man, because it was like we're like the only stage of extreme metal, you know, with the whole Lucky Fest thing, while everyone else is doing hip hop and whatever. And it was really nice to showcase to a group of people who probably never come to an extreme metal show, so to say, because everyone's meandering around the entire event. You know, you get to play in front of people. So that was pretty fun. My favorite show that I've gotten to backline, I think it would be the first Spring Meltdown that was in South Lake Tahoe at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino.
Was that the one we were on?
Yeah, possibly. Was that the one with Gohor?
It was the one with when the faceless was really bad.
The second one. God, yeah. You tell me. Michael Keane made obvious facial expressions that he was fucking up. Like, he just shook his head, blinked really hard, did that thing, you know, we generally kind of do when we fuck up. But
well, that was when he fired everybody.
That would be Gabe Sieber was playing drums for him. But yeah, that was that show. That was the second Spring Meltdown at South Lake Tahoe. But the reason the first one is super special to me is Josh Lee's last minute need Goathorn to be picked up from the Reno hotel or from the Reno airport. Oh God. And I volunteered. So I drove and got to pick up Goathorn, talk to them for like the hour and a half long drive we had from Reno back to Tahoe, hang out with Sammy Douay from Goathorn, Uncle Sammy, lovingly. And some stories that are best shared for private.
That's okay. We do post shows.
I don't want to put everything out in public, but just hanging out with Goathorn for that weekend and backlining. Sammy was giving me so much of these cabs better sound good, Rob. These cabs better, you know, blah blah blah. Yeah, just because they were already sort of like iffy with their management and rider, like their riders said they had that like all kinds of crazy vintage Marshall and Ampeg gear, shit like that. And here's an Arachnid cabinet's back line. But I think the affirmation was super real when halfway through Goathorn's set, Say was like, "Oh my God, that fucking Black Sabbath tone," and he ripped open a natural harmonic, dived, and then did a fucking pull up, and he just let that whammy squeal ring, and then that was just like, okay, if Goathorn likes these things, then, you know, obviously I'm doing something right. One of the guys who's been the most in my ear about how good these cabs better sound, you know, some confirmation that I was doing right. And that festival, everyone was giving me props about the cabs. I couldn't be happier. I don't think I heard one person complain about their tone, the stage setup. So it was huge. That was probably the biggest festival with the most industry large names that I could have, you know, test driving my product.
Absolutely. So, all right, with that being said, man, go plug yourself. Tell people where they can find you, Arachnid Cabs, Worm Flesh, whatever you want.
So, Arachnid Cabinets, www.arachnidcabs.com, Instagram /arachnid__ cabinets, Facebook, Arachnid Cabinets. They can find me, just Robert Calhoun. My profile picture is me and my wife at a festival. Ironically, an Aftershock festival.
Which we are official affiliate sponsors of.
Yeah, that's what my profile photo is, me and my wife at an Aftershock. And you can find us on Wormflesh. It should be facebook.com/Wormflesh. You can find us on Comatose Music's Bandcamp, who is our label. And you can find us on Bandcamp at Bandcamp, whatever, Wormflesh. We're pretty super easy to find, and that's where you guys can generally find me.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Robert. Dude, it was great having you, man. Thanks for spending 2 hours, and we could have spent so many more hours just talking shit.
No, man. I appreciate you giving all of us artists, little business owners, a little spotlight to, come on here and talk about ourselves a little bit. You guys are definitely doing a fucking good job, and congrats on that sponsorship. With fucking Aftershock. That's huge for you guys as well. So give your guys selves a pat on the back for that.
It was all Brandon.
Well,
then fuck Lunchbox, Brandon, pat yourself. Pat yourself. Hands on the back.
hey, man.
Brandon does all the hard work. I just talk a lot.
Go give yourself an old fashioned, Brandon. You deserve it.
Hey, man, tell all your friends we like talking to people. So if you got somebody who is in the music scene in any sort of artistic sense, please bring them to us. We'd love to have them on the show and talk some shit about shit. And Lunchbox, you know the spiel.
Well, go ahead and plug yourself real quick.
All right, so, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Brandon, the Boss Blacker, and you can find me on Instagram at The Real Brandon Blacker, and you can find my band Suburban Paranoia on all social media platforms, and you can find our newest album, Never Dies, on any streaming platform known to man. We are there, and suburbanparanoia.com, and suburbanparanoia.bandcamp.com. So go find me. Lunchbox.
All right. You can find my band at Nothing But Losers on Facebook, Nothing But Losers on Instagram, Nothing But Loser on Twitter. That is no S. But most importantly, did you show up late tonight and you didn't get a chance to hear everything we talked about? No problem. We got you covered every Saturday night, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can find us on Gun Music Radio. That is www.radioking.com/radio/gun. That is GUNN musicradio.com. Independent underground music and streaming from Oregon. But, of course, we are Talking Shop with the Boss in the Box, and you can find us on Talking Shop with the Boss in the Box on Facebook. Don't forget to join the Talking Shop with the Boss in the Box Facebook discussion group, where we shitpost memes about wrestling, metal, The Simpsons, and all the other bullshit that you want to cover, the bullshit that we all want to bullshit about together every day, all day long. You can find us at Talking Shop with the Boss in the Box on Instagram. You can find us at shop_talking on Twitter. You can also search out our YouTube page for The Boss Reacts, Monday Morning Motivation, and every single episode of this show. You can find us on Buzzsprout. You can find us on iMusic. You can find us on Spotify and anywhere you get your podcast. But most importantly, you can join us next Monday and every Monday for the foreseeable future right here live on Facebook, starting next week with episode 108 of Talking Shop with the Boss in the Box, where we interview recent Nightmare Wrestling Academy graduate Phil the Rude Dragon Hobson live for your listening and viewing pleasure here on Facebook at Talking Shop with the Boss in the Box. Thank you very much, Robert Calhoun, and good night to everybody out there.
Cheers, guys. Thanks again.